All right, and welcome into the BettingPros College Football Show. It's our Week 2 preview episode where we'll give you our picks and predictions for the top 10 games on the slate. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and I was just reminded that I do have a church picnic on Saturday afternoon, so looks like I'll be packing the power brick in my sack for the occasion. And back with me is the usual cast of characters, including Big Game Hunter himself, Terrell Furman Jr. Terrell, how are you as we lock into another sensational weekend of CFB action, and any church picnics or other functions pop up on the schedule for you?
No, because that stuff happens on Sunday, so I don't. And this Sunday is not getting any attention as well, so they'll see me in February. That's the next time they will see me. But what I have to say about last week was just, I just can't believe. I cannot fathom how you would ever let somebody talk so much crap about you and then just completely back it all the way up. Like, hey, Tommy C might have a fan in me. There might be a new fan in the program here, guys, because this is like telling The Rock.
Tommy C or Haynes King?
Tommy C for sure. I'm still on. I'm on the Tommy C wave. This is like going and telling The Rock, yeah, I'm gonna go. Hey, you can't box with God, and then beating him. Like, imagine telling The Rock, you can't box with God, and then you beat him. You actually beat him. Like that, Tommy C. I cannot believe Alabama just went out sad like that. Didn't even get a win.
Should have known. We should have known. They burned us last year in the bowl game, and I went right back to them. But if you guys want our full reaction for week number 1, you can check out our early lines and predictions show after this one. And Boggs and I kind of go through the risers and the fallers in the CFB betting landscape. Also back in the saddle is Scotty Doesn't Know. Yes, it's Scott Bogman. How are you, Bogman? And are you familiar with the Euro Trip reference right there?
Of course, man. Matt Damon singing Scotty Doesn't Know. Was that movie even out when you were born? It might have been already out. Like, that movie was excellent, dude. One of the best Euro Trips. Great reference. Love it. You remember the bar in where were they?
Amsterdam?
No, it was Uzbekistan or something. I can't remember.
Okay.
Estonia. I think that's where they ended up.
Okay.
I don't know. But the absinthe. One of my favorite scenes. But look,
this is turning into a podcast about movie references that I don't know. This is the second week.
There's a Euro Trip, Terrell.
This is the second. This is the no. So honestly, I let it slide, and you know what? Let's just bring it back up a week later. The Matthew McConaughey situation. I didn't have any dog in the fight at all. I was sitting there. I'm like, man, what's a Matthew McConaughey movie?
It was Interstellar.
And I was thinking,
the best Matthew McConaughey.
I was thinking so hard. Yeah, but when you said Interstellar, I said, "Oh, I've heard of that movie." I didn't sit down and watch it. I might have been sitting in the middle seat of a plane, and there was a guy to the right, and he was watching it, and I might have looked over a little bit and saw some pieces, but I have not seen the movie.
Okay.
I think watching Interstellar on a flight would kind of trip me out a little bit, honestly, just like with the time changes in that movie. But you got to check out
It's a weird movie, but Euro Trip, yes. Seth is right. It's hilarious. It's like one of those like, late 90s comedies, like Road Trip and American Pie and stuff like that. So it's raunchy and funny, very much so.
We had it on DVD growing up. That will kind of date me a little bit. So, but no, we are not here to talk movies. We are here to talk college football.
At least we didn't ask Seth what a VHS is. He might have broke the Matrix.
It's funny them asking all the rookies, like, do you know what this is? And it's a cassette. They have never seen one. It's just making.
That's what we should do for the Fantasy Pros. And getting like everybody together, we get rookies and the young people together. We're like, hey, do you know what this cassette tape is? Hey, because I had my brother, I was like, hey, because he plays the game a lot. Like, young kids, they are on the game all the time. And I don't know why I asked him. I was like, hey, do you know what a Game Boy is? And he was like, I don't know what a Game Boy is, but I am a Game Boy. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, nice one, nice.
Before we get going here, shout out to everyone hanging out with us either on the BettingPros YouTube channel or the audio feed. As always, the easiest free way to support us, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy college football betting content. And if you're new, make sure you're subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a moment of coverage this season. And while you're here, drop your best bets for week number 2 below in the chat. We want to hear from you. And before we get going as well, I did want to shout out a new partner that I'm very excited is going to be our presenting sponsor moving forward, Hard Rock Bet. Everybody knows and loves the Hard Rock casinos and hotels, and now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook to place your bets all NFL season and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also now available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. You can also play on the Hard Rock Bets online casino if you are in the state of New Jersey. From here on out, you'll start to see us use Hard Rock Bet lines when we're talking about the games. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win that bet. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up today, and make your first deposit. We start in the noon slate where the Baylor Bears are now under a 3-point dog against the 17th ranked SMU Mustangs. Not much line movement, but you can no longer get Baylor longer than a field goal, which we saw earlier this week. Baylor starting edge Jackie Marshall, he's questionable on the injury front. SMU starting Z wide receiver Jordan Hudson, also questionable. The projections over at BP, we have this closer to an 8-point line, so showing some EV on the Stangs. Where are you seeing this one go, Boggs? Are you still in favor of a potential SMU whacking here?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, a murder, but I love that it's heading towards Baylor. And right now, it's not by a large percentage, but the money is on Baylor just catching points. But they're on the road here. Dave Aranda did this week speak on the difference in running style from Kevin Jennings and Jackson Arnold. Like, Jackson Arnold sees a certain coverage, he's pulling the ball down. Jennings does run differently. It's more to get his wide receivers open downfield, and he has had issues with cover too. But I think that if you saw what the Auburn offensive line did to Baylor last week, that's where I see the big difference in the game still. You just mentioned Jackie Marshall, probably going to be down for this game for Baylor, one of their better edge rushers. So Baylor also had 23 missed tackles in that first game, man.
Wow.
They grade right now, it's only through a week for most teams, 2 weeks for a couple teams, but right now they're 107th in tackle grade. So I'm still on SMU here. I just think that once you see what Jackson Arnold did, yes, Kevin Jennings does run for a different purpose most of the time, but I think you're going to design plays for him to run. And if you bring safety help, he's going to pick you apart in coverage. So I just don't see a good matchup for Baylor in this game. So I'm going to take SMU and lay the points.
Terrell, are you also going with the Mustangs here? Because I agree with Boggs that I know it was a new team for Jackson Arnold, but he looked dynamic. He looked confident in that one. He was running all over the place, buck wild. So do you think it's a similar result here for Baylor in week 2?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm sorry. I'm just out on this Baylor team overall. I'm out on the Baylor quarterback. I'm out on the Baylor defense. I can't believe that at any point last week I thought Baylor was going to be any different than what they were in years past, which is they're basically 500, sometimes maybe even worse than that. You got a chucker thrower for a quarterback that doesn't care where the ball is going. He's just pushing it downfield. But they have a bunch of athletes, and those athletes make plays sometimes. But I just don't know what's going to happen when they go up against this SMU defense that is going to be consistent over the course of the entire game. Is Baylor going to have their moments? Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to get nearly as enough stops as they're going to need to stop Kevin Jennings in this offense. And so, yeah, I'm on SMU still. Give me SMU laying the points. I like SMU team total over as well. I think I might like that a little bit more just because I know this Baylor defense. Like, at home, they just completely didn't show up at all, and it was like they quit. Like, every chance that they got to bring it in, it's like the defense sort of special teams quit on them. And so I can't get behind this Baylor team at all. Give me SMU all the way.
That's a high week 2 total, 64 points up to 65.5. Yeah, that is a very, very high total, but I think based on what we saw of the Baylor Bears defense, might be justified. So let's keep it moving here. Next, let's go to the Cyhawk, where the number 16 Iowa State Cyclones, they remain a 2.5 to a 3-point home favorite against their in-state rival, the Iowa Hawkeyes here. And no line movement in this game whatsoever since our early picks and predictions show. Iowa will be without starting running back Kamari Moulton. Iowa State has had a lot of questionable players heading into last week, but the only notable name this week is starting left guard Trevor Burr. Projections right now, they're saying this line should be closer to 4.5 points, so some slight EV on the Cyclones. Terrell, do you once again roll with Rocco Becht and company?
Well, that's obvious. Like that's not even a question. I don't. I feel like as a host, there were probably different ways that you could have went into that, because we know I'm rolling with Iowa State. It's just my commitment, and what is the commitment to Iowa State?
What is the commitment to Iowa State here? Is it marriage?
So I know for a fact the defense is going to be in there, and the defense is going to show up here. Now, Iowa State has not beaten Iowa at home in the last 6 meetings since 2011. And so that has been a rough spot. But Rocco Becht did get the win last year in his first win against Iowa. And so I believe that they can get this done at home. I think that they do have enough. I am slightly concerned about the run game, and we saw what happened in the first half of that Kansas State game when the run game wasn't going, and it was really, really tough sledding for that Iowa State team. But when they got it going in the second half, it opened things up for Rocco Becht and the entire team. I don't know if they're going to ever get it going in this game. Honestly, that Iowa defense is really, really good. 3 points is a lot to lay in this. So, like, I'm not going to play the spread just because 3 points. Iowa State could easily win this by 1 or 2 points, and Iowa still cover the game. What I do like is the under 41.5. We've got 8-2 is the under in Ames over the last 10 games. These games typically always go under, and you should know that Iowa, despite all the preseason hype that they gave, still don't have a quarterback. They're never going to have a quarterback. Maybe it's just Iowa. I don't know if people have thought about that. Maybe it's just Iowa. Maybe Iowa is not meant to have quarterbacks. The run game looks great, but they don't have a quarterback. They're never going to have a quarterback. So just let it be. They're not going to have a quarterback. Great defense, a lot of running, a lot of clock killing, under 41.5.
Bogman, where are you going on this? I know earlier in the week you were also kind of shading towards that under.
Yeah, I love that play, and I think Terrell's absolutely right here, and I'm with him also. Like, I know we're showing value towards Iowa State, and it would not be a surprise if Iowa State won this game going away, right? Like, if the offense of Iowa that put on the display last week shows up against Iowa State, they're going to get crushed. So, but I don't think that's going to be the same team that shows up. I think they're going to be much improved. This is a very emotional game. I think we're going to see great defense on both sides. I love the under here. This game, to me, specifically and I think both coaches this week were talking about tight end play and how important tight end plays are. And Iowa has always, I saw this on, I think, PFF, like Iowa has always used the 2 tight end sets. They were number 1 in 2 tight end sets last year by a country mile, and they're number 1 again this year. Number 2 is Iowa State this year so far through 2 games, using the most 2 tight end sets. This is going to be a physical, grinding, middle of the field, punt and play special teams type of a game. Last year, just in pace, it was 126 for Iowa and 126 for Iowa State and 105th for Iowa last season. So whoever has the ball is grinding, is lowering the clock in this game. I trust Iowa State and specifically Matt Campbell to make adjustments. We already saw him make adjustments. If you watch Kansas State versus Iowa State, if you watch the first half of that game, was a different game than the second half of that game. Becht was getting harassed and pressured and had some questionable throws. In the second half, they adjusted and ran the ball more, and it worked. That's what they did last week too. I think we're going to see more of that from Iowa State. So I think just lots of running in this game, lots of field position, maybe a couple big plays, and I trust Matt Campbell to make the proper adjustments. So give me Iowa State in the money line, but Terrell's right. I think the under is the best play here.
All right, well, let's stay in the noon slate where we have a Big Ten meets ACC clash in Duke. The Duke Blue Devils, they're currently 2.5 to 3.5 point dogs to the 11th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. No line movement whatsoever on the spread this week. We do have that total creeping down just a little bit. On the injury front, the Illini, they have a few questionable cornerbacks coming into this week. Duke, meanwhile, they should be at full strength. Projections are telling us that this line is right where it should be at 2.5, so no value either way from the BP projections. Boggs, is that stopping you from laying down here?
I like Illinois in the under in this game, and Duke is very underrated. They're a super underrated ACC team. I love the addition of Darian Mensah to this team. I think they're going to be way better than they were last season. They are at home, dangerous team at home for sure. But to me, the big difference in this game is going to be the Illinois secondary versus the Duke wide receivers, right? Roster strength, for starters, Duke is 69th. Nice. Illinois DBs are number 1 in the country in terms of roster strength.
Wow.
So they bring back all the starters. Xavier Scott was an all-conference player last year, one of the best prospects in the country. So I really like Duke to not score a lot of points, but Luke Altmaier didn't handle pressure well last year. Against Nebraska, he was good. They were 31st in pass rush grade. He was 21-27, completed 77.8% of his passes, 215 yards, 4 touchdowns. Penn State, now it gets lower, 16-26, 61.5, threw a pick, only 185 yards. Against Michigan, the number 1 pass rush team in the country last year in terms of grades, 9 of 19, 47%, 80 yards and a touchdown. Oregon, 48.8%. Rutgers, who was 28th in pass rush grade last year, he was less than 50% completion rate, 249 yards and 2 touchdowns. They won that game, but he just didn't look good. Duke, 33rd last year, returned 3 of 4 starters on the defensive line as well. They're very good at bringing pressure. So I like Illinois by a field goal because I just don't think Duke is going to score many points in this game, but I like the under as well. So Illinois and the under are my takes in this one.
Okay, how do you feel about this one, Terrell? Are you getting invested with Luke Altmaier and company after a very, very promising week 1?
I would really, really like to. Everything on paper kind of says the Illini here, and
Agreed.
It just doesn't sit well. I think the Duke team as a home dog, this is a spot where I like to fade Manny Diaz, but this is a good spot for Manny Diaz as a home dog. He's really, really good as a home dog. Duke overall is great as a home dog. Last 10 games, they are 9-1 ATS as a home dog. 2-0 last year against SMU and Virginia Tech as a home dog. The non-con for Duke has been very, very good as well. You add Manny Diaz. He is 12-6 ATS as a dog with 9 upset victories. And so what does he do? He coaches up a great defense, and that's what kind of gets Luke Altmaier off of his game when you start throwing pressure at him and you start throwing different looks and disguises and getting him to throw those turnovers. I know times where I bet in the Illini and he's come out and had a 3 interception game, and I've been ready to rip my hair out no matter how short it is. So with that being said, I really, really do want to go the Illini, but I'm going to just lean on defense. I think the defense is great on both sides of the ball here. I think that it's going to be more of a defensive matchup. So I'm going to continue to undertrend here. Give me an under in between the Duke and Illini.
Let's also not forget Manny Diaz was the defensive coordinator at Penn State when the Illinois Fighting Illini came into Happy Valley on a rainy Saturday afternoon and took them to 8 overtimes, changed the rule after that game. So
I remember that game. Yeah.
I do too, unfortunately. I do too. Yeah.
Seth and his therapist have tried to get rid of it for him, but it hasn't worked yet. So
it's very triggering.
I think the worst part is I had season tickets that year, and I decided not to go to that game because, it's Illinois. I don't need to worry about that. I'll just sit at home where it's nice and warm and enjoy, some hot cocoa.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that you're at home and not in the stadium
waited
watching that.
all day to lose.
Yeah.
8 overtimes. Oh, yeah. Be happy you were home.
We're always talking about tracking line movement here at BettingPros. We have, of course, the early line and prediction show that Boggs and I do to get you up to speed with what's changing. But did you know you can actually track line movement yourself as well in real time with the BettingPros app? Download the free BettingPros app for iOS or Android, and with Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major books in just one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and even parlays. Create custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get a 7-day free trial of BettingPros Premium by downloading the app at bettingpros.com/apps using the promo code JUICE and activating your trial on the upgrade screen. We have a battle in the ACC also kicking off at noon Eastern time with Virginia at NC State. Money must have come in on Virginia earlier this week because this line has shrunken down to the point where you can no longer get the Cavs anything longer than 2.5 points. The money line has also come down to plus 115. It was around that plus 130, plus 140 range earlier this week. As far as injuries are concerned, clean bill of health for the Wolfpack. Meanwhile, UVA starting quarterback Chandler Morris is questionable. However, we did get some updates earlier today that he is expected to start in week 2 with the shoulder injury. Right now, the BP projections are saying this line is pretty set in stone for where it should be. We've at 2.8 points, so right there around that 2.5 number. So, Boggs, did we miss the window of value on Virginia, you think?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think there's value on either side here. Like,
okay.
We talked about this on Monday, how the roster strength is 47 and 48 for these teams, right? NC State's at home. They're favored by a little bit less than a field goal, which I think is right in a game that's even and you have home field advantage. Chandler Morris is going to play, but to what extent is he healthy? Is he 85%? Is he 95%? Is he closer to a little over 50%? He's just going to gut it out. Like, I despise this game. I am not touching it with my money. I wouldn't touch it with anyone else's money either. I would find a different way to bet because I just don't. This is a very even matchup. It's a good game. We should talk about it because people are definitely going to want to bet it. I just don't like any part of it, so I'm just going to stay away completely.
Terrell, what are your thoughts on this game?
It's tough because you've got two teams that I really don't think are doing anything. I think I'm going NC State just because of the compromised Chandler Morris. Like, I already am questionable if Chandler Morris is a quarterback, and you're telling me he has a shoulder injury that could get elevated in this game. I think that the NC State defense still is really solid, but it really is going to come down to C.J. Bailey. And if C.J. Bailey is going to be able to attack that UVA offense that UVA defense, and unfortunately, he's a lot up and down, whereas I don't really want to trust it too much. Like, they did their best to try to give away the ECU game last week, but it's the parody of college football, and you have these moments where you are giving up a game the week before, then you come back the next week and you figure it all out. And so I think that's what people are remembering, kind of how they almost gave up that game against ECU and not really remembering UVA's hasn't really been that good. Now, I understand a road dog is a spot for Tony Elliott, but I'm going to take NC State here.
I'm on the other side of this one, boys. This is the first game we've talked about today that I do have action down on currently. Like, I don't know if it's just my bias towards G6 programs, but Chandler Morris was really, really good last year, man, at North Texas. Like, he led the American Conference in passing yards and passing touchdowns with 31 of them as well. And, like, they absolutely beat down on Coastal Carolina. Like, some of that I think is a bad Coastal team. But, I mean, they were only 7-point favorites in that game, and it wasn't even close, man. They held Coastal to the defense's credit, 3.8 yards per play. And, like, I agree with you, Terrell, that I'm not taking a lot from that ECU NC State game. That's always a weird game. That is always one that should be much
a semi-rival game.
It is. It really is. So I don't have much to go off for NC State other than I think Bailey's a little bit overrated. I think Chandler Morris is the better quarterback, and give me the team that I can get on the money line at plus money. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on that plus 115. I got that at Caesars for that UVA money line. I think they're, outside of Miami, outside of Georgia Tech and Clemson, I think we could be looking up, and Virginia is a top 4 or 5 team at the end of the year in the ACC, and I think that starts here this weekend. All right, and let's go ahead and move forward. We have a ton of non-con games on the schedule, so it's always cool to see a really, really fun SEC clash in the 3:30 slate with the 20th ranked Ole Miss Rebels on the road as 10-point favorites against Kentucky. No movement on the spread so far this week. We did see that total creep down just a little bit. Ole Miss tight end Daquan Wright, he's questionable coming in here. Kentucky, meanwhile, they have their full roster healthy to work with this week. Right now, the projections are showing a slight lean to Ole Miss, plus 13% EV. They think this should be closer to a 13.5-point line. Do you agree with that, Terrell?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately. I just have to say this again. Zach Calzada sucks. Like, he's not good. He's not good at all. Like, he's not a good quarterback. And unfortunately, as much as I want to sit here and say that this should be the spot, but, like, this is Austin Simmons' first road start. Like, what are we talking about here? His first road start, he's on the field, and he's got to try to figure this out. And we're just going to go ahead and believe that Lane Kiffin's going to figure it out in the first game of SEC play. And we're here in week 2. It's not like we're sitting here and they had like 4 or 5 non-conference games and to figure it out. No, this is week 2 and we're in SEC play. And you're telling me that you're just automatically a 10-point favorite against the team you lost against last year at home? I don't know, man. You look at Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin as head coach, 1-4 straight up, 0-5 ATS in SEC openers. They're going on the road here, and yes, Lane Kiffin's been a pretty solid road favorite, but last 4 meetings between these two teams settled by 3 or less points. If Kentucky showed me anything last week, it showed me, one, Gonzaga sucks, and that I can't trust him to win the game. Mm-hmm. And so I don't feel as good about Kentucky winning outright like they did last year. But he can do enough to let the defense highlight everything else in the game and not give the team the ball 50 million times. He did give it to him once, by the way. Like I said, Calzada sucks. But it's the parody of college football, man. Calzada goes and sucks at home, and they don't cover against the Toledo squad, and then he goes at home and he plays an Ole Miss squad, and somehow they get the cover. It's college football. So, unfortunately, I'm going to say Kentucky plus 10, but I'm telling you, I am taking a horrible quarterback, and I understand that, but this is just a really good spot for Kentucky.
Bogman, so you were burned last week by Big Zach and the boys. They couldn't get it done against those
But
pesky.
we did tell him.
You did.
In our defense.
You did.
Yep. And the Toledo Rockets, man, they're frisky, and they proved that they weren't going to go peacefully into that good night. So are you on the other side of this one? Are you fading this UK team moving forward?
Yeah, and maybe this is a overreaction to what I saw, but exactly what Terrell said. Calzada screwed me out of that win, man. Like, he took the safety, so he really turned the ball over twice. He took the safety. That's 2 points. I had an 8.5-point spread. They lost by 8. I could have got, and I had a 9.5 card too. I had this bet twice. I could have won both sides of this if he doesn't take that sack. So, look, Kentucky beat Mississippi in Mississippi last year, and we talked about earlier this week, right? Like, we need to separate. Because Kentucky is a motivation team, obviously, right? They show up sometimes and they don't show up other times. We saw it last year. The worst game I've ever seen a P4 team play was probably Kentucky versus South Carolina last year. It was pathetic. It was one of the worst games I've ever watched in my life. Kentucky just didn't have effort. They all looked hungover. It was terrible. And before that, they won by 1 point, 42-41. Kentucky played Georgia hard last year, but to me, I cannot distrust what my eyes saw last week. And my eyes saw Kentucky have nothing on offense against Toledo. I know we're replacing a lot of starters on defense for Ole Miss, right? 88th in defensive returning production. Not great, but it's still all high players and good transfers. So, to me, I just cannot back Calzada at all. I'm going to lay the points and take Ole Miss. And if I'm wrong, I'll probably just never bet one way or the other on Kentucky again.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss is a team that likes to run it up. And I think if you're Lane Kiffin, you keep saying, hey, look, we missed the tournament by 1 game last year. It was this game. So let's not do it. Let's put a bow on it as well, and let's run it up. So I like Ole Miss and laying the points here.
So some differencing in opinion. Why don't we all just come together? Let's all just bet this under 50.5. I went 2 units down, minus 105 at FanDuel. Love that price. The last 2 matchups of this game, of this head-to-head, just 39 points on average scored. And let's keep in mind, that was with Jackson Dart at the helm for one of those, or 2 of those. We had Quinshaw Judkins in the backfield, one of those. We had guys like Trey Harris and talented wide receivers out there as well. We don't know as much about this defense or this offense for Ole Miss. And, like, I'm kind of with you, Terrell, that this is Austin Simmons' first SEC start. It's on the road. And I know we've kind of been, giving it to Kentucky and Big Zach for the performance last week against a MAC team, but you can't take away, Kroger Field was absolutely hopping last week. People were back in action, and people will treat it like an SEC school that it is. Their defense, they forced some turnovers early there. Turnovers on downs as well. Plus, this is a team that can run the ball, so I think there's going to be a lot of chewed clock here. So give me the under. Can we all just come together right now for a little under?
I don't hate the under. The only reason I don't like it is if Ole Miss does start stomping, they don't let up. So they pour it on.
Yeah.
So I think you're right in the under, but I just wouldn't bet it because of that. That's all. So
okay.
But I like the call. Call's correct.
I can buy the under only because, I mean, it would require Calzada to put up a good amount of points, and I don't think that's possible.
First-year starter and first road start, too.
So, so like, exactly. it would require, I think it's a pretty solid play. The 10 points was very, very tempting.
We'll also find out on Saturday if the 2-0 Kansas Jayhawks are legit when they do battle with SEC contender Missouri, who are 6.5-point home favorites. The spread widened out a point. You can no longer get that Mizzou minus 5.5 ticket that we saw earlier this week. And injuries for Rock Chalk right now. They'll be without the services of transfer linebacker Bengali Kamara with a lower body injury. And also Missouri quarterback Sam Horn. He will be out for an extended amount of time. No timetable for return. So it will be PSU transfer Bo Perbula under center moving forward, who looked sensational. 4 total touchdowns for him last week. Projections actually have this closer to that 5.5-point mark, so some slight expected value on the Jayhawks here. Are you rolling with them here, Terrell, and the projections?
Yeah, I am. I love Kansas in this spot. I think this is a good spot for them. I trust Lance Leopold. This is nothing new. I've talked about Lance Leopold on this show before and how good of a head coach I think he is in Kansas. Got bit by the bug early. They lost a bunch of one-score games early on, and then they went on that heater at the end of the season against all the ranked teams in the Big 12 and started to run gauntlet for a while. So I think that this is another spot where they go on the road here in a rivalry game. What people should know, this is the border war, and so it's a rivalry game here between Kansas and Mizzou. They have not played this in a while. I think he's going to get...
Last time.
Wow.
2011. Like,
I was 13.
Crazy because it's probably not that big of a travel distance between these two teams. Like, it's probably not a big travel at all. And so, I think that Kansas has a couple of games under their belt. They're feeling good. This is the first game. This is the first game where they feel like they're getting a test, and they feel like, hey, we have to go compete, and we have to go show up in this game, because these are the games that we lost last year. Mm-hmm. And we were really, really kicking ourselves for it at the end of the season, and we could have found ourselves in a Big 12 title game or even in a chance for a playoff spot. So I think that Lance Leopold is going to have this defense ready to go. I think that Jalen Daniels and the offense is going to look really, really good. And so I'm fading Mizzou. Give me the points. I like KU plus points here.
Scott, really great argument there for Terrell. We talked about it earlier this week, too, that Kansas has had one extra game to kind of start working out these kinks a little bit. You know, not the best opponents, Fresno and, you know, some other lower opponents. But at the same time, Mizzou looked really nice, man. But Bo looked big enough for the moment last week. So where do you lean here if there is a play from you at all?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to play this one. I'll give you my lean here because this is the border war. There's a lot of emotion that's going to go into this game. One bounce, you know, Kentucky's look great. Kansas looked great. Kentucky looks awful. Kansas looks great so far. Jalen Daniels just looks really good. My question here is, I think the biggest mismatch of this game is Missouri wide receivers versus a Kansas secondary. Remember, Kansas last year lost 2 corners to the NFL, so they're replacing those guys. And just in terms of starters and roster strength, the DBs for Kansas are 99. The wideouts for Missouri are 26. The big question is, can Bo Perbula get it downfield? He's an athlete. He was a Wildcat. I keep misspeaking. I don't know what's wrong with me. The Wildcat quarterback last year for your Penn State Nittany Lions. So he's going to do more with his legs. But I like this to kind of turn into a shootout. I think Jalen Daniels is going to get his. But I think Bo Perbula and the secondary for Kansas is going to let up some yards here. So I'm going to lean Missouri. Don't really love either side, but the over is probably my favorite play. But these are leans. I don't really like this game.
Just as kind of like a testament to the hate in this rivalry, despite not playing for a long time, there was a recent country song released last year called Missouri on My Mind by Roman Alexander. And he actually takes a dig at Kansas, saying, "You'll never catch me saying rock chalk in these stands." So, and he's probably about my age too. So, it's one of those situations where people still do hate each other. If you're a Kansas alum or Missouri alum, no love lost there, despite the long time that these guys haven't played each other.
I think it's like, I think because didn't A&M and Missouri go into the SEC the same year? And so we lost Texas A&M and the border war. So, yeah, difficult times, but we're getting them all back now, so we like it.
We also have an interstate battle in the Sunshine State where G5 contender South Florida, they are currently a 17.5-point dog against the Florida Gators, despite just an absolutely dominating performance against Boise on Thursday night last week. Not much line movement on the spread this week. We did see that total sneak up a little bit to 56.5 points. As far as injuries, clean bill of health for the Bulls. Florida, meanwhile, they're dealing with a couple injuries and they're too deep on defense. The receiving core also a little bit banged up, but right now just questionable tags. So just something to kind of keep in mind, monitor as the week progresses. Projections, though, they're right in line with their spread at 17.5. I ain't touching it. I love the Gators. I have DJ Lagway in a couple CFF leagues. I've been high on this guy for a while. I just can't get invested here. Can you, Boggs?
Yeah, the under. I love the under in this game, and it's opened up by 2 points, 56.5. I think this is my favorite bet of the week, by the way. I'm on board the USF hype train. I mean, they beat down Boise State. Brown looked awesome. He looked so good. We talked about Golish making adjustments in the second half and how they're one of the best third quarter teams in the country last year. I think he can do that in this game too. So I'm not going to count USF out. I will say this is a perfect fade the public spot. It's a letdown spot for USF after a big emotional win at home against Boise State. And it's a look ahead spot for Florida as well because of that LSU coming up next week. So to me, I think this is a pretty clear difference in talent, right? I think Florida is really strong on both sides of the ball. I don't think USF is going to be able to keep up with them. But to me, I think this is a get the lead and lean on it and run the ball type of a game from the Gators. So I like the under because I think you're going to be vanilla once you have the game in hand. It's going to be very boring, basic throws and runs. And I don't think it's going to take that much for them to get to the lead. Now, are they going to care about a giant lead or protecting it late? Probably not either. So I don't really like a side here, but I do like this game to go under. So I'm going to go under 56.5.
Terrell, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm on the Bulls here. Give me South Florida plus the points. And it's a lot to go into this. Billy Napier 3-8 as a home favorite in his time at Florida here, so not good stuff there. It's a lot of points. This South Florida team has been really, really good in terms of going out and playing the SEC and non-con. They're 2-9 straight up. But they've covered the last 4 games, including 2 against Alabama, including 2 games against Florida, where Florida actually blew a late lead, and they've been able to come back. So if Brown's going to be able to go out there, and they're just going to continue to play him as this kind of, hey, he can go out there and just put the team on his back, go out there, have some big runs, be very conservative with the football and not put it in harm's way, but give them some nice, good throws and let them get to the skill position players. I think that they're going to find themselves in this game, and I'm not a big seller on Florida this big of a favorite. So I'm good on the Napier, Fate and Napier as this big of a home favorite here. Give me the South Florida and the points.
I like that under a lot, Boggs. I think I have a little bit more confidence that you could be right. It's a little bit of a stalemate, and you kind of said it earlier this week as well that Florida might not want to show their cards, right? They might want to shut it down early, protect their guys. So
and honestly, Terrell bringing up South Florida against Alabama, that's why I'm not picking them. That's why I'm not picking Florida and laying the points here. I got screwed twice 2 years in a row. I thought, well, no way.
No way they do it again.
And they almost lost.
No way they do it again.
Revenge. And then they almost did it again. So, I respect South Florida. I'm not going to lay the points, but I would lean Florida. But like I said, it's not a bet I make. I will absolutely make a bet on the under, and I already have. So
okay. Well, in prime time, and I will be home from the church picnic by prime time, so I will get to, cozy up in the recliner, start a fire in the wood stove. We'll be all ready for this one. But we've got a top 25 matchup in Norman where the 18th ranked Sooners are now 3.5-point favorites against the Michigan Wolverines. This has been a wild spread to track all week long. It started short right around this 3.5 line. Moved up. We are seeing some 6.5s, some 5.5s floating around. It's back down to now where you can only get the Sooners -3.5 if you want them at most sports books, unless you're on like a peer-to-peer platform. Injuries, meanwhile, Michigan tight end Hogan Hansen, he's questionable, as are a few other players in there too deep on defense. No injuries reported currently for OU. Projections are giving this a 4.5-point line, so a slight lean towards Michigan. Terrell, I know though, you ain't a Michigan guy. You don't roll with the Blues. So are you once again fading Michigan here in 2025 with a new quarterback at the helm, Bryce Underwood?
Stop acting like you know me. You don't know me, Seth. Stop acting like you know me. Yes, I am not on Michigan. But, I mean, I've said it before. I think that this OU team is going to be a different team this year. I think they're going to be really good. And this is the first test where you got to go knock off a quote-unquote top 15 team. I really hate the preseason rankings because you preseason rank this team as top 15, and then we go through the season and they're not ranked at the end of the season, but you're like, oh, they got a top 15 win. Did they really? Because the team was horrible. I mean, they were a top 15 team last year, and they were absolutely horrible. So we could see. Now, again, fading quarterbacks on the first road start. Underwood, as good as he looked last week, this is the first road start. There were some moments that I'm like, oh, he probably could have had that back. There were moments in that Fresno State game that I'm like, this Michigan team may not all the way be there. Whereas Oklahoma, I mean, Brett Venables is coaching for his job. As we talked about Ryan Day, and as much as I'm talking about, and I gave Ryan Day a bunch of crap towards the end of last year when he actually lost to Michigan, and I said he cannot lose another game. By the way, Ryan Day has still not lost a game since that loss to Michigan. Let's just throw that out there. But I would like to also say Brett Venables is feeling the heat from the Oklahoma boosters. They are feeling the heat from Oklahoma in general. He has to produce something, and now you got Mateer. Now you have Mateer. Now you might be able to field a really good offense. And I think Mateer and what he does on the ground is really going to mess with Michigan. Like, I think that they'll be solid in the run game. I don't think that the running backs for Oklahoma are going to go buck wild in this game. But I think what Mateer is able to do with his legs on the ground is really going to mess with them. And then he's going to open things up for the secondary, for his wide receivers in that secondary as well. And so I believe in Mateer. I'm not going to lie. And I know the OU defense is nasty. I know this is a good defense, so I'm not worried about Underwood in his first road start going to SEC country or Big 12 country, whatever you want to call it, and say that he's going to go out and have the performance that he did last week. I don't think so. So I like OU. I think OU is going to win the game. They're going to cover whatever number they're putting out there, whether it's 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, because we done seen all the numbers on the spectrum at this point. I think that OU is going to be able to get it done against Michigan here. I'm not a believer. So, yeah, I'll take OU, laying whatever the number is.
All right, Terrell, drinking that John Mateer juice. Are you also drinking that Kool-Aid, Boggs?
Not really. I do really like John Mateer, and he's fearless. But I don't know if either quarterback is going to come out of this game smelling like a rose. I think exactly what Terrell just said about this OU defense is correct. And Underwood, this is a massive, massive early season test for him. Might be one of the harder defenses they play all year until they get to Ohio State. So very, very tough on the road in this environment. But I do think that this is a chance for both of these teams to bounce back, right? And I think we're looking at these teams from a similar mindset from last year, right? Like Michigan dealt with the off-the-field stuff and then all the graduations and all the players leaving, and Venables just has not seen any life in this offense. They just went from having all offense and no defense to all defense and no offense. That's like been the only change for Oklahoma right now. So I think both these quarterbacks could make a statement here. But I don't think really either one of them does. I think this is kind of, I think they're both going to make a big mistake in this game that could turn the tide, so I don't really like picking a side. I do like the under, though. I just think the defenses early in the season are way ahead of these starters. Yes, John Mateer was great at Washington State last year, but they didn't play a lot of elite-level defenses. This is going to be the hardest defense that John Mateer has ever played in his life against Michigan. Obviously, the same thing for Underwood against Oklahoma. So my lean here is more the under. turnovers could set up short fields with these young guys too, though. So I don't really like this game. My leans are under. I guess I would just take points because I'm getting points in this game, but I'm not going to mess with it.
Yeah, I can't bet Michigan after last season, especially with a true freshman on the road, despite, the 5-star recruit, number 1 player in the country coming in. Boggs, you started talking me into this under in our early picks and predictions show to the point where I went out. Actually, DraftKings had a boost already available for this game specifically. I got this alternate under to 50.5 points, minus 137 at DK. That's where I'm going down. I went 2 units down on it. I'm very excited about this one. I'm in agreement with you. I don't think this is a good spot for Bryce Underwood. And while I think Oklahoma could put up a little bit of points, John Mateer played 1 game last year against a Big Ten or an SEC defense, and it was Washington, which I don't even really consider a true Big Ten team. He scored 24 points in that game. I would be stunned if this gets over 50 points. So that's my play. Go over to DraftKings, use that boost when you can, get it to 50.5, and have yourself a day. So, also, speaking of juice, have you guys ever had jungle juice in college? Like, was that a thing for you guys down south?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be a bunch of different things. Like,
Yeah.
You know, my frat, we had our own juice, and the sororities had their own juice. Other frats had their own juice. People, like everybody. Shoot, I had my 21st birthday. My best friend was a cheerleader, and the cheerleaders brought their juice to our birthday party.
Oh,
it was crazy. It was crazy. Shout out to the Gold Squad cheerleaders over there.
it just came to mind when we were talking about it. I was like, that stuff's nasty. And we were all just like dipping cups into it and like very like
Wait,
pretty
what? Nasty?
I just looking like I wouldn't drink that now. Yeah, I know.
What were y'all? I don't know what y'all were drinking.
I feel like we were just doing like, the red Hawaiian punch with like maybe some fruit in there and then just like Vlad or like whatever the cheapest vodka you could find. It was not good.
You guys don't know. You gotta actually like. I can't give the recipe, of course.
Okay,
but what I will say is it was way more than just some fruit punch and some fruit. Like, matter of fact, you got to come to homecoming. Just come to homecoming, and I'll set it out. You'll have everything ready.
All right, so either come to homecoming to see Terrell or subscribe to his OnlyFans and you can get that recipe. How about that? That's where we'll go with that. And if you do want a chance to score this signed Alvin Kamara Saints helmet for free, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com, all you need to do is head to bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, and either A, download that Betting Pros app, B, leave a review for the Betting Pros podcast, or C, subscribe on our social media channels, Betting Pros on X and TikTok, and at Betting Pros NFL on Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you're going to receive, and we will be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure you turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. And now the time that a few of us on this particular program have been waiting for. Vanderbilt hopes to go for a big win for the SEC when they travel to Blacksburg to battle the Virginia Tech Hokies. This line is starting to get closer to a pick'em at some books, but there's still a 1.5 point line out in favor of the Virginia Tech squad. Vandy right now, they're dealing with injuries to their ex-receiver, Junior Sherritt, and their starting defensive tackle. They're also questionable. Starting Tech running back Terrian Stewart, he remains questionable. He did miss the Week 1 game. So projections right now, they have this at a half-point line. So the slightest value on your Commodores. Are you once again rolling with the commies, my friend Terrell?
First of all, whoever scheduled Virginia Tech to start the season.
I love this.
South Carolina,
this
Vanderbilt.
This puts you at such a disadvantage because we know you like your Vatech teams, your Virginia teams, but you're Pavia Stan. So I'm so excited.
He
to
peed
see
on
which
his
way
rival's logo.
I love it.
He peed on the rival's logo. Like, what? Pavia is an absolute dog. And, I mean, he won the game last year as a 13-point dog. He won it last year as a 13-point dog. Like, oh, great. Now, we have a really hard conversation about should Virginia Tech have been laying 13 points to anybody last season. But nonetheless, I think that there's a lot of things that are really wrong with this game. One, for Virginia Tech, the fact that defense is way ahead of offense. And, I mean, at this point, Jones just looks like a shell of himself. And it's very, very concerning because I truly, especially without the run game, I truly have no idea how they're going to move the ball consistently. But the defense is really, really solid. And you look on the other side of the ball, you have, Diego Pavia is going to get that offense going at times, all the time. But there's still some questions on the defensive side of the ball for Vanderbilt with me at times. And, it's really hard. As much as I think Diego Pavia is a gamer, do you understand how hard it is to go on the road at a night game, opener of the season, and beat Virginia Tech? It's really hard.
It's a great environment.
Huge rocking environment. And so it's really, really tough. It is. But I think I've already committed myself to no longer being on this Virginia Tech team for the season. So give me Diego Pissin Pavia to get it done yet again. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I really don't know. It's like they're toying with me because then I picked Virginia Tech last week. They don't get the cover and in horrible fashion. Ultimately, what I do think happens here is this is an under type of game because I just don't believe Virginia Tech can move the ball consistently at all. And I think the defense will show up to play Pavia. I really do. So I like under 47.5 the best. But gun to my head, I'm still rolling with Diego Pavia because I can't ruin this mojo. I need him to know that I'm backing him now. So when we get to be 7 point, 8 point, 9 point, maybe even double-digit dogs later in the season, he knows that I was always with him from the beginning. So I got to stick it with Diego Pavia here.
Footsteps in the sand, side by side, Terrell and Diego Pavia, of course. Everybody knows.
Yep.
So, Bogman, obviously a lot of eyes on Diego Pavia. I mean, he has a lawsuit named after him. A whole clause right now in the NCAA is because of him. So with that, do you back him in his first big spot of the season?
I'm not going to take a side here.
Okay.
Let's roll with the under again. I think Terrell just said it right. Like, Virginia Tech's defense was strong against South Carolina. 328 total yards. And a big chunk of that was on that huge play to Harbor, right? They dominated time of possession. They only allowed that kick return, right? Like the kick return and the big play, those were
That was the game.
That was the whole game. So I think this Virginia Tech defense is really good. I think you're right, Terrell. I don't know what's going on with Kyron Jones. And both these teams run a ton. Vandy was 12th in rush percentage last year. Vatech was 31st in the country in rush percentage. So with both these teams running the ball likely over 50%, both have decent defenses. I like the under here. 47.5 is too high a total to me, so I will rock another under here.
All right, let's go ahead and round out the program in a game where Arizona State hopes to make it 2 in a row against Mississippi State when they travel to Starksville as a 6.5-point favorite. This line has shrunk up a bit at some books, but you can still actually lay ASU under a touchdown if you want that spread. As far as injuries are concerned, ASU's flanker wide receiver Jalen Moss, he's questionable with a foot injury. Clean bill of health for the Bulldogs, though. Projections right in line with the actual spread at 6.5 points. So that said, Terrell, are you taking this Arizona State team, or do you like the improvements that we've seen from the Bulldogs this season?
I'm not really too keen on either one of the side of the ball, honestly. Truly.
Okay.
Because I don't think that Mississippi State has improved like a grand amount, but I do think it is some improvement there. I'll just take the points. Like, this is a touchdown spread, and if you told me that this game somehow forced its way into overtime, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think both of these two teams have good things on both sides of the ball. I do like Kenny Dillingham, but I think Kenny Dillingham will kind of coach this Arizona team up for a comeback on the road rather than just complete annihilation from start to finish. And that's kind of what it has to be when you're covering a 6.5 point spread. Like, you kind of got to feel good about yourself from start to finish, especially going on the road in SEC country, regardless if it is the bottom of the barrel of the SEC, which Mississippi State is. I still think that 6 points is too much. So I'll take Mississippi State plus the points here. Don't really feel the best about it, but I do think that it's just a little bit too much. It feels like this is a 3-4 point game.
Bogman?
Yeah, I don't like this game either. So I'm going to lean towards the Sun Devils in the over here because last year Mississippi State really had to play comeback. You know, I think that game was 30-10 or 30-3 or something like. It was a huge, enormous lead for the Sun Devils that Mississippi State then had to play comeback in. That was also in Tempe. I do think that Mississippi State is a much better team this year than they were last year. Much better might not mean a lot in the SEC, but it could mean a decent amount in this game. So against Arizona State. Arizona State last year, also a very different team than they were because this was an early season game, right? And they hadn't really found their identity. They weren't rolling downhill quite yet. So back here with Levitt and Tyson, I think this could get ugly in ASU's favor, but I think it's going to be closer because it's in Starkville. That's another place that's just hard to play on the road in. There's nothing else there. The whole city shows up for this.
Apparently, they also don't have hotels anywhere, is what we're hearing out on the internet, which I think is a lie.
They don't. No, they don't. You really like. It's
I've never
45 minutes. It's 45 minutes, maybe 40 from where my mom was born in Columbus, Mississippi, and it's really nothing out there anywhere. Like,
tell me they don't have a couple hotels in Starkville despite having an SEC team?
Maybe a Best Western. Is that even a hotel?
No Sun Devils, I tell you that much.
Where do I stay in the same place in Columbus where I go, and it's a Waffle House right outside. And it's like the only hotel for miles. Like, I promise you, if they have hotels, it's like one, maybe one or two. Like, it's really nothing in any, like, in the entire state of Mississippi, there's nothing. Like, just don't think of, there's nothing in the entire state of Mississippi. Like, the entire state of Mississippi is a barren wasteland until you get to Biloxi, Mississippi, where you got a couple of casinos. But, like, there's nothing in the entire state of Mississippi except the colleges.
Wow. All right.
Lordy.
You gotta just know it. Like, hey, dog, my family's from there. I've been there all the time. There's nothing in Mississippi. Nothing.
Well,
ASU in the over for me. That's my lean.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, all the beautiful, fine people tuning in from Mississippi, I don't know. I can't confirm that.
They'll say it too. They will say it too. If it's somebody in the Mississippi gets in the comments talking about, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You are lying. You are lying to yourself.
Oxford ain't.
What's
popping?
there?
I don't know. I've never been there.
There's nothing to do. That's why you've never been there, because there's nothing to do. You don't think that you would have went there if there might have been something. Literally, everybody in Mississippi goes to. It depends where you're at. They either go to Memphis and they go turn up in Memphis and have a good time in Memphis, or they go to New Orleans. But like. What? No. Or they just sit there in their sticks and their weeds and they make up games and have fun. But, like, there's nothing to do out there. Like, that's why people get in trouble out there, because there's nothing to do and you're just left to your own devices.
Well, Riley Green once asked in a country song, is it Mississippi or me that brought you back home? And apparently it was Riley Green. It was not Mississippi, is what Terrell's telling us. So let's get to our best bets.
Or it actually was Mississippi, and how bad Mississippi was. You just pushed you back to Riley Green.
Good Lord,
so,
this is reaching Tom Segura levels.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm being completely honest. Like, my whole mom's side of the family is from Mississippi. Every time I've gone out in Mississippi, there's been nothing to do.
Best bets for me, it's the under 50.5 in the Ole Miss Kentucky game, minus 105 at FanDuel. I got 2 units down. It's my favorite play on this slate. What about it for you, Bogman?
Under 56.5 on South Florida in Florida. I just think that this is a game that Florida should beat South Florida down. That typically doesn't happen to South Florida. Golish is one of the best second half adjusters, and even if Florida is up, I think they stay vanilla and lean on the lead. So under 56.5.
Terrell, bring us home.
Yeah, I'm going with OU. Lay whatever the number is. Ultimately, do I think this is competitive in the first half? Yes, but I think that OU is going to be able to pull away, and Michigan's never going to find the offense. So I like OU to get it done.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of the BettingPros College Football Show. Still to come later this week and every week right here on the BettingPros YouTube channel and the audio feed. Bog's best bets and our parlay picks. Make sure you're checking those out as well. And let us know down in the comments below your favorite week 2 picks. And while you're here, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing if you're new. For Scott Bogman and Terrell Furman Jr., I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.